Hamas.
The World Central Kitchen is calling for an independent investigation into the Israeli airstrike that killed the workers. The organization's asking the governments of the U.S., Canada, Britain, Australia, and Poland to look into the incident. The victims were nationals of those countries. The Pentagon says Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin expressed his outrage with his Israeli counterpart during a call Wednesday after the convoy of vehicles with the charity was struck multiple times by the Israeli military. Austin urged the Israeli defense minister to implement concrete steps to protect aid workers and civilians as Israel's war wages on with Hamas and called for a transparent investigation. The judge in Donald Trump's hush money case is rejecting his presidential immunity argument. Trump is being charged with falsifying business records and has repeatedly tried to get New York Judge Juan Merchan recused from the case. On Wednesday, Merchan shot down Trump's bid to use presidential immunity as part of his defense. The Oakland Athletics are heading to Sacramento. The team announced Sutter Health Park will be their temporary home until they move to Las Vegas. The Sacramento Stadium has a capacity of about 14,000. The Vegas ballpark is expected to be ready by the 2028 season. And still, no Powerball jackpot winner. No one's matched all the correct numbers for the jackpot since New Year's Day. And now the top prize rolls up to $1.23 billion for Saturday night's drawing. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
KCAA.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the March Spring Sale, March 15th through the 25th, and get 35% off paints and stains with prices starting at $28.92. That means 35% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of
Marcus is a connoisseur of anything that's free, so he was happy to read the disclaimer on TurboTax Free Edition.
Roughly 37% of taxpayers qualify. Form 1040 and limited credits only. See how at TurboTax.com. That's me!
File your taxes 100% free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your max refund guaranteed. See if you qualify to file for free at TurboTax.com. See max refund guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
Indy's Demolition in Huntington Park encourages listeners to shop small business and buy local. Buying from small businesses improves the health of our local economy and our nation. Jobs are created, homes enjoy stability, and local businesses support one another. So, before visiting the mega chains and internet super warehouses, think local and invest in your hometown. That important community reminder is from Indy's Demolition. Call 323-835-6710 for Indy's Demolition in Huntington Park.
Early diagnosis of breast cancer is the key to survival. Test today. This health reminder from Leanne Thomas, Professional Realty Services, serving the Inland Empire with quality and pride. If you're in the market to buy or sell real estate, look to a name you can trust. Call 951-454-3805. Again, 951-454-3805. Or visit thejetteam.com. Like and follow them on Facebook. That's Leanne Thomas, Professional Real Estate Services, Real Estate, Calibrate number 017046162.
What would you do if you had a broken bone? You'd go to the doctor and use your insurance, right? Well, what would you do if you have a serious problem with drugs and alcohol? Most people do nothing until it's way too late. Your insurance can help you get clean and sober with the assistance of a place like the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Many times, addiction treatment is fully covered. So why not use your insurance to treat your addiction problem just like you would if you had a broken bone? And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed to take time off by law, and your employer doesn't need to know the reason. So there are two good reasons. You've got insurance you can use for your addiction problem, and with the Family Medical Leave Act, it's completely confidential. Call now, 800-398-7414. That's 398 7414.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the March Spring Sale, March 15th through the 25th, and get 35% off paints and stains with prices starting at $28.92. That means 35% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 35% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only, some exclusions apply.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at KCAA.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. The morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Opera, celebrating 25 years. Number one talk in the IE, the station that leaves no listener behind, and also streaming on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words, no Kanye talk formerly or now, even though the song that he did was perfect for today's topic. Nothing but a gold digger. I can't sing that one. I can only sing slow songs. But anyways, so delighted to have you here. And I have topics and guests and special series to help you with up-leveling your happiness. And today is no exception. It is Thursday. And I am so delighted to have back in studio. His name is James Hawthorne. He is an actor. He is a fitness expert and trainer, and he is my co-host on Thursdays for the very popular series called Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
your rabid Dodgers fan, James Hawthorne. How's it going, everybody?
And I got cut short, but it's okay. We'll make up for the applause later. And I am so happy that you are here to help me with breakfast. We're going to start with breakfast, saying hello to the Cashew Gallery as the eyeballs roll in. You do have the ability to actually talk at us, give us the finger, not that one, this one, and just react and interact with us all show. Thanks to technology on LinkedIn, Facebook, but my Show Central that houses 1,137 shows, but who's counting? And you can chat at us there. Please do free subscribe. And now I actually have a membership program, thanks to Orville Nation, who pressured me into it. But it's a wonderful way to connect with you Mondays after the show, Q&A, and then some free stuff from my Balance Marketplace every month. So let's start with breakfast. James, take a bite of my gratitude sandwich, please. And the top of the bun is, what are you grateful for today?
I would say, as I'm sitting here right now looking out, it's a nice gloomy day in North Hollywood. And I like that because I had a great sunny day yesterday, and it's just such a simple thing, but it's a whole different vibe. And it's nice to experience that instead of the normal same old. So that's probably my simplest gratitude thing that I've probably ever said, but I'm just looking out and enjoying the gloomy day.
Fabulous. I am grateful that I'm grateful to COVID that gave us permission and oh my God, we can actually do things from home instead of sitting in traffic and going hours here and hours there, and being able to come to you from my living room. And we have continued with that technology. So you're not going to hear very many people be grateful for COVID, but I'm one of them.
I'll tell you what, those are the silver linings. My mom absolutely adored COVID because she is such a busy person. Every day, every night of the week, she's out and about doing something, some events, some galas, some work thing. And so COVID allowed her to finally take a deep breath and relax a little bit. And I'm grateful for everything in life, not just COVID, but everything that seems like it might not be the best thing, but it ends up giving you exactly what you need. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the surprises in life, the
Yeah.
packages that you open them up, they end up being something entirely different than what you thought from the wrapper.
Absolutely. I am grateful that I also, as a result of putting my life jacket on with a silver lining with COVID, became a filmmaker because I had time, because all the motivational talks were canceled, to actually do something I had no idea that I really love to do. And apparently I'm good at too. Approached by Meta to be a digital creator, content creator, and have no clue. So that was kind of fun. That was during COVID.
I
Your
love
turn.
that. I love that. How's our Akashic Gallery doing? Anybody with gratitude for today yet?
We'll see if Sci-Fi comes in here with something. She's the captain today of the Cashew Gallery. I'm also grateful for that we can go back to the movies. I love the movies. I saw a really good one, which was the docu-film, actually, very well done. And I'm going to butcher the name of it, but it was the true story of a nun who would not say, take no for an answer. And you would enjoy it. I think that you and I both share a love for movies that are true, like based on a
Absolutely.
true. So I'll get the name of that as you do the next gratitude.
I'm grateful for, as kind of like what you said about the character in the movie, just perseverance. So I was talking to a couple of friends about their LA journeys thus far, and big changes in life. And studies show that we are really bad at underestimating our ability to adapt. And the truth is that we are highly adaptable, and that we can completely change course or accept the challenges that come our ways. And I'm grateful for adaptability, because it's one of our greatest attributes as human beings, and it's something that we actually underestimate on a daily basis. People, for example, would talk to paraplegics or quadriplegics and say, well, how does your life is completely changed, how does that feel? And then they would also talk to lottery winners, and the biggest takeaway from the whole thing is that people always think they'd be so happy if they won the lottery, and that they'd be devastated if they ended up getting paralyzed. And neither are true. Some the happiest people in the world have gone through some of the craziest stuff that's maybe not so good on the surface. And then when the best thing happens, winning the lottery, people end up not being that much happier. So that to me is actually very empowering, because it speaks to what we are capable of. And I love thinking about that.
That's beautiful. I saw an investigative report about the children in Africa who had AIDS, and they were all in one little, they were being cared for. And the reporter said, I've never heard so much laughter and joy and happiness, right, from something that we would see as devastating. So, yeah, be careful about our judgments, is what I heard there, James. Absolutely. More music is grateful for family. And more music is either the mom, who's my co-host on Wednesday, or her kids on Doctors in the House. And both of them are graduating. So I'm grateful to see the joy of the mom as the kids go through this milestone, the son with a master's and the daughter with her bachelor's. So what a great time. And I get invited to sample the yummy cooked foods from my co-host. So it's a side benefit of doing this show for sure.
Well deserved.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the bottom of the bun, because I like it on the bottom, although it's been so long. I mean, TMI.
Saucy.
It's Thursday. I'm allowed to get a little naughty on this show. I know Eric just spit out his coffee in the background there. I am going to ask everyone to give a gratitude, not directed on the outside, but directed on the inside. What do you like about yourself? What do you appreciate about yourself? So that when you go to bed tonight, you're not going to think about all the things you did wrong or all the people that done you wrong. Instead, you have a foundation. You're working your muscle of self-soothing, self-care, self-love. So you're less apt to be walking around looking for love in all the wrong places or likes, literally these days with social media. So I appreciate my ability to listen to impulses. And I got to share this short story because yesterday I had a chance to do a little coaching with someone as I was getting my haircut. And and I was telling her that, the old adage, work hard, don't, 80-hour week, and you got to push, 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 never give up. That whole energy of pushing, I've realized, even though it got me places and achievements, is really not the energy that I need to use. That allowing and plugging into my source of energy and love and creativity through meditation, I get impulses and I get thoughts that if I just follow, it will unfold into this amazing thing. So yesterday after the haircut, I went to the car and all of a sudden I got this thought, why don't you go to Trader Joe's that was in the little mall? I don't shop at Trader Joe's normally. So I'm like, okay, well, I kind of need eggs for my fried rice. So I went in. This woman stops me and says, can I give you a compliment? And without sounding full of myself, I actually get that quite a bit because I love to dress up and I love to, show my creativity. People think I'm a fashion designer. So I said, of course. And she said, 1972, I had an outfit just like that. What you're wearing, and you look fabulous. And I was at Berkeley and I went, oh, my dad got a job offer from Berkeley. And I think I've told you this story where he got his PhD from McGill University and he had two choices. He was offered a job. His professor was Professor Tien, who became the president chancellor at Berkeley. And usually at that point, people don't know who Tien was. And that's not the point of the story, right? The point of the story is there's 1960, turn the TV on, Berkeley versus University of Waterloo, Berkeley bra burning, acid taking, protesting. And my dad's biggest nerd in the world, God love him. He's with God now. But so that's how I was born in Waterloo. So I'm telling this story and she stops and she says, I worked for Professor Tien.
That's crazy.
Is that crazy? Is that crazy? That's a what caught moment. What are the chances of that? And I'm like, what? And I'm still getting chills because, and then she launched in her story about him. But that is a great example of plugging in, listening to the voice or the impulse to do something you wouldn't normally do, and then how magical the unfolding is. And this is the story of my life, literally like the first part of my life. I, did that overachieving stuff because that was the way to get love. And now that I'm, on the other side of understanding who I really am and what I'm plugged into, that we all are plugged into, if we allow it, then the magic starts happening. All of the book and the show and everything that happened, not because I wanted it or forced it or made it happen or manipulated. It's just happening. And that's how I got into NAB coming up. I mean, that was not a planned thing either. So
they say that the harder you grab a bar of soap, the quicker it slips out of your hand. So sometimes to get the things that you want the most, you have to, I mean, I'm not particularly religious, but they say let go and let God, or whatever that is.
Right.
For you. It's
right.
Not having an ironclad grip on your life. It's good to have direction, good to have goals, but to be too attached to them, I think might even it might take you away from all the wonderful things you're destined for. So
absolutely. And I'm also not religious, even though my other co-hosts are, some to various degrees, and that's why I have different perspectives on the show. And by the way, 6 degrees of separation. I would call that actually 1 degree or less of separation on that one. But yeah, that whatever it is you call it, we're not here to preach. We're not here to not preach. I myself am allergic to religion as a direct result of my upbringing and how that God was needed anger management classes. But however it is, the thing in common is you can be connected to the energy that created every drop of water to be different, every grain of sand to be different, to orchestrate a compliment in a place that you don't go to have 1 degree of separation from a story that you've told before. That's life. That's how life can be. That's why people go, so what's next? I say, well, every morning I get up and say, what now, brown cow? And they say that if you your vision board, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, can actually limit what could happen in your life. So
well, no, that's very fascinating, because I read a book called The Science of Making Things Happen, and they try to break down this notion of manifesting. You've said you've read so many different things about kind of the spiritual side of manifesting, but this book attempts to tackle the science, and it talks about particle mode and wave mode. And when things are in particle mode, you're like predetermining, and when things are in wave mode, you're sort of open to it. Anyway, there's a lot I go into in that book, but the fact that like there's science behind the way that we try to make our dreams come true and make things happen in life, I find actually somewhat comforting, because I think there's still so much that we feel and intuit, but we don't quite have all the science around it yet. So to read a book that tackles some of those things, I think is a really good use of time, because it gives you it fortifies you in how you go about your day and how you go about living your journey.
Yeah, and we'll segue that back into the bottom of the bun, appreciation. Yes. And James, I appreciate, and you can own it, your constant, relentless quest to learn and expand. And I love that about you. So if you don't already own that as an appreciation for yourself, I'm offering that right now for you.
Well, I'm gonna take that one and run with it, because I like that.
Good.
I guess one thing I can say is would be grace under fire. So after the Dodgers game, my friends that are staying with me really wanted to go dancing at the Shortstop, which is a local bar near, and then everybody goes there after the game. And our second friend, who wasn't with us at the game, who was meeting us, he comes into line, and it wasn't like a super long line, and it was moving, but this guy was really upset that our friend joined us. Now, I'm curious to see how people feel about this, but in my mind, if it's like a friend or 2 friends that are coming into line to meet the group, so what? Like, I wouldn't care. Now, if like 5 people, a group of 5 people are coming in and cutting the line, I might be a little bit upset. But he was very adamant that my friend had to go back of the line, and he seemed really miffed. And we acknowledged him, and then we were just having our own conversation. And he's like, "No, hey, are you ignoring me like this?" And I said, "Hey, man, no, I'm not at all. To be honest with you, to be perfectly honest with you, if the roles were reversed, I would happily let you cut. I get how it is. Not all friends can be there." And then he looked at me and he goes, "When you put it to me that way, okay." So
wow.
My friends were all like, "What is this guy's problem?" I could see in their eyes that they were like, give me a reason to tell this guy off. And I thought to myself, well, let me just tell him what I would do if the roles were reversed. And then he thought about it and he said, well, geez, if you would do it, maybe it's not such a big deal. If one friend of yours comes and joins you in line. So grace under fire. I'm glad that in that moment I was able to de-escalate and thought of something to say that not only diffused the situation, but made him go, yeah, it's no big deal. And then he ends up saying to me, LA, it's just brutal, man. So he's somebody that needs to practice your gratitude sandwich if he's going through life thinking that every day. And no wonder he gets mad about somebody cutting right in line.
Yeah.
But it was nice to have that encounter and to feel like you were
Wow.
being heard and changed somebody's temperament and demeanor. And then I shook his hand, said, "Hey, well, what's your name?" I said, "Joe." I said, "Well, I'm James." Did you go to the game? Great. Da, 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 da. And then it was all fine.
And then he asked you on a date. No, I'm kidding.
If only I went to the shortstop more for my friends than for me. It's not exactly the best bar for me to meet guys. I'll say that. but it's a fun spot. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Someone gave either of us, I don't know when the finger went up. Thank you for the approval. And we are almost done our breakfast, taking a bite of our gratitude sandwich. There's so many things and forays to go on everything that we talk about. And I'm just really appreciative that I did not limit my my future by my PhD, which is as an organizational psychologist. I would have never had this show. I would have never had 8 Ways to Happiness best-selling book. I wouldn't have had so many things if I had limited. So I appreciate my ability to stay open, connected, and not too hooked into the outcome. I think that for me is so different than what it used to be, because I was really a ball buster in a very straight, direct way. And I'll tell myself, I'm not perfect, and I definitely it's kind of tongue in cheek. The name of my show, Take My Advice, I'm not using it. I did get into a conflict, and it isn't resolved, but it was both of our inabilities to be in each other's moccasins to understand what the other person was being impacted by, even though the intentions on both ends were not that way. So it's been something that's been a little heavy on my heart, but I am not, I still don't understand it, but I know, and I appreciate this about myself, that I know that everything happens for a good reason. I know that more will be revealed, and the best thing I can do is just the art of neglect and not try to do the post-mortem, digging analysis when it doesn't feel good. So I appreciate my ability to accept. How's that? That I'm not perfect.
I think that's really good. I think that's essential to happiness. I would say I agree with you on that. I agree that that's something that I've had to learn, and in doing it, it just creates so much more space because it relieves you of worry and burden when you give yourself a little bit of grace.
Yes. I think I'm going to start calling my balance-centered Dr. Marissa Grace. That's her middle name. All right, and thank you so much for joining us for breakfast this morning. This is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah. And this is the very special Thursday series called Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorne.
And if you do this good life habit or hashtag Blisscipline for 28 consecutive days on the show or off the show, I promise you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. Because frankly, my dear, if you can't approve of yourself, how the fork do you expect anyone else to? We got a lazy button there. Anyways, James, what is the topic for today?
So it's somewhat related and tangential to last week's about income incompatibility in relationships and how to navigate that. The buzz explanation for what today's topic is would be prenup or no prenup, but only as a entry point into discussing how we share what we share in relationships and how much of it are we expected to share.
Yes. I've been married once. I do everything once: marriage, divorce. And I did not have a prenup. So I think most of you know that, which is why I ended up losing a 1.8 million house, a $1.5 million business, spousal, child, settlement, all of that. And to add insult to injury at the time, although I don't regret it, I don't hate 88% of the time. I my lawyer said to the judge, "But Your Honor, that's not fair." And the judge looked straight at me and said, "Well, you wanted equal rights." So that's the story that happened to me as far as prenup. I, like many people, say, "Oh, if I ask for a prenup, it means that I don't expect the marriage to last, and that I'm saying that my material wealth is more important than my love for you." And if anybody said prenup, I'm out of there, that means they don't love me. And I don't think I'm getting married again because I only do things once. But would I do a prenup now? To be honest, I think it's because I don't think I'm getting married that's not even a question. But let me think. Yeah, I would do a prenup. Having to start over, midstream. I don't regret it, but it has a cost factor. It does sting, when I I'm not, I'm rebuilding, so owning something again. When you have done that, and I bought two places, and I had that material wealth, and then now all my material wealth goes into my happy 88 mission. So if I did win the lottery, it would not be for the material wealth that I used to want to have. It would be to further expanding the platform for more hope and happiness. So it's a little bit different. So I do want to win the lottery, just so we're straight on that. But that's my answer to whether I would or not.
Yes. So this is something that it's a bridge that I have yet to cross. And I think it's a important, yet it's a challenging conversation, because I think we feel a pressure to say, oh, it's not about the money, because we are conditioned that love and that, money and financial things are almost in separate buckets, and they coexist on different planes, I would say. And my challenge would be to try to find a way to navigate that chat so that the business, right, of love can be its own thing, and then the love can exist over here as its own thing. Because I don't think it's wrong to bring up the conversation and say, oh, one moment, the electronic ghosts of my house have turned on the TV. Let me go turn that off. I have no idea how it came on. Like, literally came on out of nowhere. So my house is haunted this morning. I'll be right back. Give me one moment, please. Sorry for the unexpected interruption.
No worries. I can talk behind his back now. But the concept, although romantic, and certainly I can understand why you would want to separate out money from love, it's not possible. I'm sorry. I don't think that is realistic, because I think money is one of the top 3 reasons why relationships break apart or divorce happens. It is either different values around money, certainly is one of the reasons. And James, what I'm saying right now is I appreciate your romantic ideal of separating money and love, but in reality and life, it's impossible. It is one of the top 3 things from research, if not the number one. I think infidelity is the first. I'll have to look that up, but money's in the top 3, and it is tied to love. It is tied to the relationship because it hits, like politics and religion, some core values around, you know, who you are, how you look at money, how you view how important money is, how you view making money. You know, it is concerning to hear the statistics around young women these days and debt, and that is, you know, financial not insecurity, well, financial insecurity and financial illiteracy. So money is a huge factor, I think, in a relationship that you cannot separate out.
Oh no, I agree 100%. My idea is more. I think we sometimes think that if we have a conversation about like a prenup conversation going into a relationship or marriage, that somehow is toxic or is going to be a difficult
Oh, I see
thing
what you
for the love,
yeah.
because it brings up issues of trust. Oh, so you think that I'm going to try to fleece you if we get divorced? You know, it's very tough to draw, I think, the right conclusion if your partner asks you for a prenup. So how do we navigate that
Mhm.
conversation and come to an understanding? Like, I would love for us all to come to a collective understanding that it's just being a responsible, like, individual to say, regardless of what end of it you're on, to just say, hey, let's just take this potential landmine off the battlefield. Like, let's just take it out.
Mhm.
And is there a way to have that conversation and frame it as a positive thing, as opposed to it being, a negative thing where the other person thinks, oh, it's, you don't trust me, or, oh, you don't really believe in the relationship if you're asking for this. So the conversation itself is wrought with landmines, but by not having it,
Mhm.
the whole
Mhm.
relationship can be
Yeah.
wrought with a big landmine. So how do you have that conversation in a way to help your partner go, oh, it's not about trust. It's
Mhm.
not about their belief
Mhm. Yeah.
in the relationship. How is there a way to frame it in such a way where it's not such a difficult conversation? Because in my opinion, it would be really nice to just say, hey, listen, like, money's money. Like, we have our thing. The money's the thing. Let's just talk about that and just get on the same page and then get it out of the way. We never have to bring it up
Mhm.
again. I mean,
Yeah.
unless things change. Is there a way to do that in a productive way that doesn't make the other person feel threatened, less than, or vice versa, if you're the other position?
Mhm.
And
Good question. Yeah. I'm very cynical on this one. Usually very positive about it, but I'm very cynical about it for a couple of reasons. One, you see what even prenups, you know, in the news, right? They're not a they're not sometimes not even upheld. So you've introduced something conflictual with no with no positive consequence at all, right? And let me also put the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room. If you're the one with money, of course, you're going to have a different perspective than the one that is without money, right? So those without money want to say, it's not that big of a deal, or, sure, I'll sign it. I understand what is yours, and that you came in here with that. I can be magnanimous about that. And on a good day, I can actually even feel good about it, but on most days, I'm going to know that you chose, right, to put this as a central thing, even if we put it aside. It is not a one time conversation. It's going to come back depending on how you're feeling about yourself. If you're the one without a lot of money energy, you're going to be like, dang, I got to ask permission to spend. I have to ask permission to be able to buy something, and that whole dynamic there. And then there is the other side to balance it out, which is, there's a lot of women who work their patooties off to support their husbands, now husbands, to go through school, to get the education, to be able to do all of that. And then at the end of their success, the husband, usually the partner's success, not always, but majority in this era, they have to fight to get money, so it's really difficult unless they come up with a formula, right? Which they tried to with the Disso Master, to say, how long were you married versus, how much did you contribute to the economics of the marriage and the ability to have a career that supplies the money. So that hurt me because the sentence was, people ask me, how long were you married? And I said, my sentence was 9.2 years. Again, tongue in cheek, I always work on the forgiveness end. Most of the time I'm successful, but that number was under 10 years, but it's so close to 10 years that everything applied and more. And I could stand here righteously justified and say, he did not contribute to my success as an organizational psychologist. But in the last, in those 9 years, how much did he contribute to my ability to travel? Because 3 days a week, he was the primary caregiver.
Right. Right. And I think that goes to everybody finding, what works for them in a relationship. And then it comes back to, you talked about the big three. You talked about infidelity, money. I'm going to venture that the third is just communication styles and tendencies to make sure that the moose is always on the table and that there's not something festering, that can cause and breed resentment. What's interesting to me about the money conversation is, I could be wrong about it, but I feel like it's even more sensitive than in the gay world. There's a lot of open relationships where people are intimate partners, but they have different rules regarding, sex with other people and how they handle that. And I feel like couples conversations around that isn't even as sensitive as money. And that's the thing that I'm trying to get my head around. How is money so loaded? I mean, even compared to a conversation about, how sexually open you are going to or not going to be with your partners, which is once again something that, after being in LA for a long time, I have discovered that a lot of gay relationships have some level of openness, and it feels like more unique to LGBTQ, and it also feels unique to Los Angeles. But even the conversations around that don't seem to be in the same arena as sensitivity around money differences.
Absolutely. I'm doing research, obviously, looking at
seeing what we can find.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you're
part of me,
right.
like
I did
my
find.
instinct would be like, would be to say to somebody, listen, how I feel about you. I'm crazy about you. And if you're doing your part and you're doing all that, then I think it's maybe plausible to just be able to say, let's just get the business of this out of the way. How do you feel about my inclination would be? Like, can you bring up the prenup conversation? Or, for example, if you want to take your partner on a really lovely vacation and they can't afford it, but you want to go there, you want to travel to that exotic place, and you want them by your side, is there a way to just put it on the table and say, look, it doesn't matter to me that I'm going to pay for you to come and be there with me. Does it matter to you that, that I'm asking you to let me do that? Is there a way to just say that? And like I said, remove how do I say it? The relationship side of it, separate it from the business. And you said, no, you can't. They're completely intertwined. But is there a way to have the conversation where you can have your partner go, okay, this is just logistics, and not have it, bring up feelings of trust issues or commitment issues? Is there a way to have somebody say, yeah, it's just the business of a relationship? Okay.
Yeah. Well, the example that you shared last week, you and you're sharing again is the one with the money, right? On a good day, 88% of the time will be, this is separate, and I want you to go with me, and you don't have the money, and it's no skin off my back to give you the money to do that. And on a good day, 88% of the time,
Hmm.
that's how you're getting what you want, which is you're not feeling like he's doing something for you and you owe him. But 12% of the time, you're human. So 12% of the time, my guess is someone's going to have some expectations. If I got you this trip, if I am buying you dinner, if I am taking you somewhere, if I am buying you something, there is a hook. There is, tit for tat. There is an expectation on the end of that for you as well. On a good day, you're going to accept that gift and say, "That's fabulous. We're going to have fun. Isn't this great? Isn't he generous? Isn't I'm happy that this is happening." 12% of the time, am I being bought? Maybe not you, but someone. Is it? What does this mean? Do I? Oh, maybe do. And this again is not you, but I do relationship coaching, and the women that are being, they're not being bought, but they feel like they're being bought,
And
right?
that's highly problematic, of course.
It
We
is
talked
highly
about
problematic.
if you're being bought, sometimes it's bad for the person that is getting treated because it can lead to a sense of entitlement. The person that is treating can sometimes create this illusion in their mind that they have some extra control over you because there's money behind, what they deem as a privilege, the thing that they're doing for you. So with all of that to navigate, doesn't the answer have to lie somewhere in communication style? Because it's an unavoidable topic. It's going to
Yeah,
be part of the relationship, as you said. It can't
yeah.
be stripped out. But is there a way to have the conversation in a way that doesn't ruffle as many feathers? You're thinking no.
I don't know, because it just isn't as easy as that. Because depending on where you are, if you're feeling pretty centered, and I want to get rid of this. I just want to point out infidelity is number one, right? And these are top three reasons from sources across the web. Okay. So this is like a good conglomerate instead of going to a source, which there's never such thing as unbiased. So infidelity, you're right. Communications in there, finance, domestic violence, maybe marrying too young, substance abuse, lack of commitment, constant arguing. So there's your top 9, right? But infidelity, as I guessed, and finance is up there, right?
Absolutely.
So again, you you know your lovely, positive hope, grace, for being able to talk about it once and get it out of there, I don't think it's realistic, because depending on where you are, that isn't, I wake up with a fat and ugly attack. Whatever I said the day before doesn't hold, right? That's not where I am. That's not what's true. So, anyways, that's my opinion. But let's do a little station ID. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering what's going on in the studio today, we're getting in a nice heated conversation about prenups on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA. 25 years of bringing number one talk radio to the IE. And I am Dr. Marissa on the morning show, NBC News, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course, YouTube TV channel, where I house all of my shows these past 622 consecutive weeks. And today's special series is called Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorne.
And we're going to talk about something else, because I think we've beat this one a little.
That's fair. That's fair.
Right?
It's one of those things where I think we're having one of these shows where we're just like, you know what? It's really tough, and good luck is what our consensus is on
no
it.
answer. we got no answer because it's really, this would be something to bring into couples therapy. That would be my suggestion, or a relationship coach.
I have to think that communication too is what saves, everything. I think that underneath those other 8 issues, communication can help you navigate the challenges of those 8 issues. And so even if it's going to be a tough talk, I think there are ways to have the conversation honestly and candidly that can make a really big difference. And it appears that your screen has frozen, unfortunately. I don't know if that's a tech issue on your side or ours, but it seems that it is just me on camera now. If there's anybody out in the cashew gallery that would like to talk about how to have those financial discussions, I would love to see it.
I am so sorry. I know I my battery decided to say enough talk about prenups.
Well, that's understandable.
But anyways, we are in the last little stretch, 9 minutes. So besides the percentage, and I want to remind people, if you are in a situation where there is quite a wide gap between what you make and what your partner makes, Dr. Pat Allen gave me a great tip around percentages on what pays when. But I will have to say that, this is something you're absolutely right. We have to talk about it because we've kind of moved so quickly in relationships from what the norm was.
Keep talking, James.
There you go. Okay.
There you go.
Sorry,
Keep
you,
talking.
you froze
Hey,
there
when
for a
For
moment.
our
You froze there for a moment.
Yeah, when I do that, just keep talking.
You got it. Great. Okay. No, I thought that maybe the audience was hearing you and it was all on my end. We're having quite the technology conundrum today. My living room was haunted with the TV coming on out of nowhere. But can you repeat that for me? What you said about how we navigate?
Yeah, I just think that communication. We say it's all about communication.
Yeah.
And we say that we need to communicate, but that's not always the answer because, oh boy, this lighting's, oh, here we go. Just because we communicate doesn't mean that it is going to be, hold on one second, I'm just having some issues.
Oh, sure. No, I would say, I mean, with the communication, I think the best you can hope for is honesty. At least if you're honest about it, you at least give the other person their opportunity to accept or not accept. And we talk all the time about compatibility in relationships, and instead of it being a blame game necessarily, it either works or it doesn't. And so if you express your desires or expectations around finances, and the other person at least respects your honesty, then you have a chance to come up with what agreement or arrangement is going to work for you. But if we tiptoe around it and we don't actually have the conversation with full honesty, if you don't put the moose on the table, this is, I think, a topic in relationships that can really come back to bite you. So if there was
Mhm.
ever a time to lay it on the table and be honest, I would say it should be around the topic of finances.
Yes, I 100,000% agree with you. Knowing that it's not something that is a one and done. And that's the thing that I was commenting to,
Hmm.
that your suggestion of having that talk and then it be, let's set it aside. I don't think that that is realistic. I think it is one of those, you know, are you feeling like if you've had that conversation, you know, I love you, this isn't about money, I love you, you know, unconditionally, which I think is bullshit talky anyways. It's not possible to love people unconditionally. That's, and then maybe that is our next week's topic, because I feel so strongly that we set ourselves up with this expectation that we can love people unconditionally, and the only sentient beings that can actually do that are dogs and human
That's
beings,
true.
you know, screw ourselves because we have that expectation that,
I
you
think
know,
I think unconditional love, that's a great topic for next week. You know, we've talked about the L word before, but why do we put this big U word in front of it? Is it necessary? Is it helpful?
mhm. Yeah,
And you know, it actually it relates to what we're talking about right now because, you know, while we've both decided that financial disparity between partners is incredibly, like, it's an issue, it's a thing. So if that's the case, then you're basically saying, well, there's not unconditional love. So that's a pretty loaded thing. But I think today we established that, you know, finances are a thing and
yeah.
they have to be talked about and they have to be, you know, dealt with. And if certain behaviors go with the issues around finances, right? Since it's a sense of entitlement, if you're the one getting paid for, or a sense of control, if you're the one paying, um, you know, it is a big part of how you love your partner and how you comport yourself in terms of the quality of your character.
Yeah, yeah. And it is, it's one of those, I lost the thought. I had a great thought. I lost the thought. Um, when it comes to money, if we, I know what I was going to give a practical application of this in
Mm.
my dating. So, you know, I think I've told you, I have the expectation on a first date. If you're trying to woo me or you say I'm gorgeous or, you know, fascinating and, you know, I can't wait to get to know you, then pick up that check, ask me out on a proper date, have a nice meal. I don't care if you think you're going to sleep with me as a result of that. Okay, that's, you know, I don't think I'm being bought. I also want to see if there's sexual chemistry and compatibility. But if I offer, maybe I should just stop offering. If I offer to pay or to help you with that, don't say yes. You know, to me, I'm just like,
Especially if they're trying to woo you. So I mean, you know,
exactly.
to your earlier point that you cannot separate finances from love. Finances are a part of chivalry sometimes, and chivalry is good. So you know, it really can't be separated
It's,
completely.
I'm like,
Nor should it maybe.
obviously, this is very recent and very annoying, but it's the same thing around, you know, uh, geographical, right? If you want to woo me and date me, don't tell me to meet halfway. If you
Right.
live, you know, first date, I'm not talking about forever, but first date, you know,
Make an
act like
effort.
your words. If you say this, anyways, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a scintillating episode of Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind, and the special series Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa
James Hawthorne.
and we are encouraging you to come back. We're going to talk about unconditional love next week. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow. It is Tempting Conversations. We will have a guest host, big announcements coming up that you're going to have to tune in tomorrow to find out. So it's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorne, thank you so much,
Wishing
everybody,
you-
for
wish-
tuning in today.
Wishing you the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.
NBC News on KC.